What's up, everybody? Sitting here with our good friend Justin Royal from Royal Electrical Contractors. Justin, thanks for taking the time to sit down and chat with us today.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
this is thank you guys and my part having me on here.
Absolutely, man. So before we really get started, we always like to kind of get into the history of the people that we have on the show. How you got yourself in the trades in the first place, and how you find yourself here, where you are. So, Justin, can you kind of give us a little bit for anybody who doesn't know who you are? Give us a little bit of your backstory.
Real quick, before we get to that, for anyone who's just listening, I'd like to point out that
Hmm.
Justin is sitting in his work truck,
Yeah, right.
and if that's not legit, I don't know what is.
That's a good point.
So, as you were.
Yeah, so my name is Justin Rule. I'm 30 years of age. Been doing electrical work for 12 years now, and I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I've been through basically. Um, as far as company, my dad actually got me my first job, and he was good friends with my old boss, and they do a lot of industrial and commercial work locally, um, and so that was first job as an electrician, and they basically kind of threw me to the and
Okay.
they put me with one of the oldest, toughest guys that they had working for them, and I Vans and a T-shirt, and uh, I didn't realize I was going down to the state force was like, and so that was my first strike. And the
Yeah.
first thing we did was we went to a Walmart, and I bought a pair of steel toe boots and a hard hat and some safety gear, and we went down there, and I think we were rigid conduit, 3/4 rigid conduit, like up a dike wall, and so I got to use the threader in it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like somebody thread a piece of rigid pipe. If you've never done it before, like with the electric threader, like that thing will like toss you over, like it'll pick you up, and so that's the first thing he did was throw me on that, and it picked me up and threw me on the ground. It was a tough experience from the get go, and
Yeah.
really it was kind of like if I were to like suggest like to anybody come, industrial work is like not your best bet. Um, just it's so above your head at that point, like with all the that go into it, and so I was basically a pair of hands, and I hated it, and I was young, so I got all the shit work. I was doing a lot of digging, and you know that was the first stage of basically my that phase of me being a helper, and then I eventually got in doing the commercial side where they did a lot of gas stations and stuff, and that's where I started. Um, but but yeah, I started at a young age. I was 19 years old, and it, I had no time between the time I graduated and then the next day I was working. So
Okay.
and now I'm still working, and so I've had a lot of time in it. But yeah, so it's been
When you were
it's been a
19,
journey.
yeah. When you were 19, Justin, what was the thing that kept you, or not even 19, when you were younger and you had this industrial job? You were younger than that?
Um, So I was 19, and then
Okay.
yeah, that's basically when I started, and
Okay.
started doing electrical work at that age, and did the industrial part for 2 years, and then they kind of phased me into, like, they saw that I wasn't progressing in that. Either that or I asked them to, like, move me. They threw me on the commercial side, and that's when I started to pick up a little bit.
Okay.
We did go through, like, it was a lot of out of town work, and we did bank work, which was at night.
Okay. Yeah.
During the
Overnight.
day, we would. Yeah, dude, it's definitely tough. Like, it can self clock. But the guy I was working with, he had a sleep apnea mask. You know, he was sleeping during the day, and he would ask me, you know, if I would go watch TV out in the lobby so he could sleep. And me being a kid, I was just like, yeah, that's fine. So we go watch TV, and then time to go to work, I would you know, meet back up with him and basically start getting ready for work, turn the TV on, and he like down on me. And I ended up just leaving. I called my boss. I think I can do this anymore. Like, you know, I don't know if I'm cut out for it. So I ended up calling my mom, and she from the middle of nowhere. It was like a 2-hour drive, and I was out of work for a week, and then I called my old boss back, and he gave me a second shot regardless of some of the supervisors and what they thought. So a lot of it was tough. Like, so when I tell, like, a lot of my guys, you know, and I'm super, like, I give them a long leash to begin with, just because I know when you're young, you just, your mind isn't about work all the time. You know, you're thinking about other things like, you know, girls, or, you know, what you're gonna eat later. I don't know, but
sure,
you know, I give a lot of slack when it them just being young and inexperienced. Because if I wasn't a chance, then I wouldn't be here today. So it was,
sure.
You know, I definitely
Well,
that from him for sure.
Sure. What were some of the things as a young person that made you like kept you going in the trades? Like, I feel like you see it so often where, like, a young person will hit a wall like that, or they'll jump into something and it'll be really, really hard. We've all been there. And then not all of us stick it out, you know? A lot of folks say, "Yeah, this ain't for me. I'm going to go do something else." What do you think it was about you or about electrical work itself that made you keep going back to it?
I think at that time it was just I knew I needed a job, and then when I got back, like, I told myself, like, you know, in order for me to, like, not be bottom of the totem pole, I've got to start exceeding expectation and going above and beyond, like, what I'm being asked. And I immediately noticed a difference in, like, how I was treated. I just kind of took that and ran with it, and I basically just turned a corner. And it wasn't maybe a year later they finally did let me do a couple of jobs on my own, but it was out of my own truck for the first part of it because I got a DUI when I was younger. Their insurance wouldn't carry me for like 3 years, so
Gotcha.
I had to work out of my truck for a little while, and then they finally did put me in a van.
Wow. All right. It's a good story, man. It's a real good, like, stick it out, persevere, try to find the right, you know, the right outfit. And I think that's good for a lot of people listening, because it's not, you know, it's not always cookie cutter. When if you're interested in working in the trades, sometimes you got to bounce around till you can find the team that it's like, yeah, this feels right. I like the rhythm. I like the way they do business. I like the projects. It's out there. There's all kinds of ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how
and I
did
think
you go
everybody
from
has
that?
like their.
No, please go ahead.
I think everybody has like tough upbringing. You know, at least when I was coming up, like it might be a little bit different now. Or maybe just me being a small business, I'm just different the way I handle my guys. A larger or business that has a lot of older fellas in it, you know, that leash, you know, you quickly learn that you're bottom of the totem pole until you can earn some respect. And so it's definitely it's interesting to hear like a bunch of different stories and how, because you know they're 2 or 3 years in now, and they have all like the same like horror stories that you know I kind of dealt with coming up, because it's a in itself, but when you have to deal with and then also like poorly, you know, that was kind of tough, but really I think it made me who I am today.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like we've all had those experiences with the older guys or the tougher guys, whether it's our dads even or our uncles or grandfathers that are just like, damn, that was his, he didn't have to say it like that. But but then there is like those badges of honor that we have for enduring those types of things too. I mean, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. They weren't not going to scream at you, so it was like, it is what it is, not the worst thing. But yeah.
One of the differences there is that with the Marines, you expect them to scream at you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
like when you show up in a pair of Vans for your first day of work, you don't know what to expect, right?
Yeah,
and it's like when they treat you a certain way, you're like,
which I blame my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I blame my dad for that.
It's just a cultural thing, though. I think with the just older guys that like are in a groove, have been doing something for a long time. I feel that like you get comfortable with how it works, and then when the new guys come in and you I gotta teach this new guy all these things, and like he's screwing up everything, and it's
so
slowing
tricky,
everything
right?
down.
Because
I get that.
You need them, and you need to train the next generation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you have to. It's like raising a kid.
Yeah.
You've got to be like real slow to anger if you can help it.
Yeah.
If
you can help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many people do you have working for you?
I've got 3 guys that work full time for me, and my sister's my admin. She kind of works part time right now. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate those guys so much. It really like today, like I wouldn't have been able to. I had to catch up on a lot of paperwork, and through the weekend of working, just catching. But like they're on a job right now, knocking some stuff out for me. So and they're all young guys. They're all like 23. So, and they've got like 3 or 4 years experience.
Sounds good. That sounds like a good setup. What's the work ethic like? Pretty good?
Yeah. I mean, Tyler, he's my lead guy, and he's me of myself. And I mean, even better just because he's picked up on it so quickly. I mean, he really got lucky because he worked. It was, they did a lot of production and custom builds, so he learned the speed side of it, and everything that we're dealing with today, which is mostly residential. So he's caught up, and he's got a really good work ethic. Hard, and the other guys do just progressing a little bit slower than him, which I mean is why
it happens.
Yeah. But yeah, we all gel together pretty good. We've got it's a really good work culture that I've got going on. Cool. It's fun, none of the guys dread coming to work. At least I think so.
Great. That's the hope. When did you know you wanted to get into business for yourself? When did you know you wanted to start your own company?
Kind of getting back to my story a little bit. Worked 8 years for that company that I was just talking about, and it got to the point. My best friend had just got his, and we had all about like going out on our own and doing our own work, and that kind of opened the door for that. Ended up picking up some side work. We had a really bad hurricane, Florence, that came through, so there was a lot of flooded homes in our area, and there was a lot of contractors. They call them storm chasers. They would come in and try and find cheap labor, and then we would do, like, I didn't think we weren't even an actual business yet. We were just kind of doing it on the side. And we would rewire these trailers and flooded homes. It eventually got kind of got caught up in it, and really against side work. So he had G tracking on the vans, and I had got caught one day going to one of those sites, and
you're using company van.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't working out of it, but like I something real quick. Stopped, and while I was on my way back from work, and the next day, they called me in the office and asked me about it, and I just like I got a side job that I'm kind of, I didn't deny it or anything like that, and they had the two other superintendents in there, and they're like, what do we need to do? And they let me go then and there. And
that's crazy. Just for picking up a side job? That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either. I mean, there was other things like I would never wear my uniform. Like they always wear like button ups, and you couldn't wear khakis. You had to wear these blue jeans. I never really liked that. I would show up in a t-shirt and kind of rebellious in that way. And then every now and then I'd be 5 to 10 minutes late for work. So it was a culmination of things, I think, but that was the big.
Yeah. Okay.
But it allowed me to I basically had a month to go out and knock on builders' doors and just get my name out there. And I didn't even have the license. My buddy did at the time. So, I was going to find the work, and I stopping at a contractor locally, and they were trying to find a new electrical contractor at the same time. So it was kind of a perfect scenario. And I told my buddy, I was like, hey man, for us, they want to give us a house, this job, and
all right,
started the business.
So you started with a partner?
I did. It was for somebody that's going into business, like a partnership seems like a smoother transition. Like I get the whole, like, this is going to be for us to like transition into working for ourselves. You've got somebody to lean on. So I saw like the benefit in that, but there was a lot of people telling me, to not go that route.
Sure.
And so we worked together for 2 years. It wasn't always like at the beginning whenever you start out, you do get pretty shit work. Like I remember we picked up a remodel that was like an hour and a half away. It was basically, they didn't gut it or anything. It was like lath plaster walls. So we had to completely fish every receptacle. Like that, the basement came to running things like it's super easy, but the basement was flooded, so it was like 3 feet of water.
Still water? No way.
Water just sitting in the basement. So we would throw on our weight and we would run the wire, like we'd keep it up out of the water, and we ran everything underneath that basement in 3 feet of water. And
wow.
and now to this day, like I don't do anything that like if I got a fish in our house. But yeah. Water and electricity.
I think our very first job was like 2.5 hours away from home.
Yeah, there were quite a few when we first got started.
But like that was like the first one we did.
Yeah, it was so far away. Yeah, so far away, and it didn't go well, and we had to come back and like change it, and like just like you're just learning. You're like, oh yeah, you're so optimistic at first,
but you'll never. I mean, you'll never forget that.
Yeah, never forget. Yeah.
It's like, So wait, what was that's still a struggle.
Yes,
that's an ongoing struggle for it's like getting a job correctly. So
yeah, what ended up happening with the partnership?
So basically, we were really flourishing, like as a company. We were doing, and I went, and so throughout this time, I had taken the master's test, before we had started the partnership, and failed it by one point, and so I mistakenly, instead of the 3-month period and taking it again, I took like a full year and a half to take it again.
Yep.
So I had to basically go back everything I just learned because it didn't stick. So I ended up getting with a 73, and instead of I immediately happy. It was one of the greatest feelings was passing that exam. But I ended up calling him right after. He was the first person I called, and he seemed really excited for me. But later that night, he called me and venting to me and saying he's like, man, maybe we should split up, because I feel like this is instead of mine, because people are reaching out to you. You're emailing everybody. You're when people bring up our company, they bring up your name, my name. I just an employee. And I basically told him, I was like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can take all the back end stuff. I can start delegating that to you. The only reason why they come to me first is because I'm doing all the stuff after hours, not only just showing up to work. And I to he kind of me and him gelled really, really well together. And then the business side of it kind of it definitely affected the relationship. After that conversation, it was always in the back of my head, I didn't feel like he was kind of for me. He didn't care about the business. So,
bummer.
I think maybe 6 months. I just called him and I told him that, I wanted to split up. And, I felt like it was the best thing for the both of us, because he never wanted to get out of just doing production building. And I wanted to expand my knowledge into other things. I wanted to do commercial customs, remodels. Just got tired of doing the same floor again. And
sure.
So I called him and told him, we're going to split up. That was that. I left. I took half of what we had in the bank gave them everything else. Our work bands, our assets as far as like T-poles, and we had a generator. Which is kind of a funny story. I don't want to get off topic, but the only reason we had the generators, and this kind of tells you a little bit just kind of how he was, is the company that had hired us, the production builder. We had taken over for their previous electrician, and their electrician wasn't setting T-poles on time. Like 10 T-poles that needed to be set like from day one. And instead of us just going and getting 10 T-poles, making them and putting them on there, he wanted to do like 1 or 2 a week. And I was like, why? Like, we're also working on these jobs. People. So instead of us setting the T-poles, we went and spent on a generator. And we would be, as electricians, showing up on job sites, firing up a generator. And it just like, it would show up and be like, what are you doing? You know, like, you, the electricians, like, where's the T-pole at? So it's just
right. Where's the power?
so dumb. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can hook up to our generator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. People think I'm Doug's employee, but I just embrace it. You're gonna have to call my boss.
I do this. I say the same thing. I say talk to Josh. That's one of the best things about.
Just point to the other one.
Oh, you must have. Oh, you must have spoke with Josh. Okay, let me talk to him.
Take that up with him.
Yeah. We get a lot of those cross emails. You know, Josh told me to call you. I was like, oh yeah, okay. We don't really do that to each other.
Yeah, you just have to.
How did the split go? Yeah. Because I've heard that my old boss used to say, because he warned about me and Doug. Everyone warns you about starting with a partner.
Yeah.
But my old boss warned me that, you know, it's easier to get a divorce than it is to split up a company. Did you guys, I mean, were you like an official established LLC? Like, did you actually have to go through paperwork and stuff, or did you just split?
So we were an actual LLC. We were an actual business, but we didn't have any like legal paperwork that tied us together, like, or even business. So that was like one of the things that whenever I made that decision, I had to be aware that I could possibly come out of this with nothing. So, but that didn't end up being the case. He me, and he gave me my half of that. And you know, I didn't ask for anything more than that. There was a lot of other stuff, you know, our clients, you know. So it was definitely on whim, basically. So I would not suggest, like, if you're going to do a partnership, you gotta get some legal paperwork that basically states
we're working on it, man.
Also have an exit plan.
Yes, exit plan's good. Like,
Plan,
he knows where the front door, and he knows where the back door is.
I've got
where the front door is
a
at.
grave dug out behind my house. So just roll Doug right in.
Yeah, I think it's real hard. I think partnerships are challenging because we are all humans and we all have egos, and so we think that our ideas are the most important thing sometimes in our heads, and we're like, but this is it, and this is the way, and if it's not this way, I don't, you know what I mean? There's all this shit in your mind that you hear your brain say. Sometimes you're like, what? Sometimes I catch my brain, I'm like, what do you what? Shut up. You have to be willing, just like in a marriage, to not only share the workload, but also like share the creativity and the responsibility and the fun of it. And you have to want your partner to do well. You have to like be in it for, like you said, you weren't sure he was in it for you. It's like you've got to, like, I really want Josh to succeed.
Yeah.
And he really wants me to succeed. And so in that, we always, you know, we've always got each other's back. Things aren't always smooth, and we all have our own ideas, and we work differently. But we do both believe that our differences are what make us strong. And I'm so glad he's good at what he's good at. And that our bookkeeper, Linda, is, I don't know where we be without.
We'd
We'd be in
be
jail.
in prison.
Yeah.
So
it's like just get finding the
We
people,
all
whether in a partnership or whatever. But like it's find the people who compliment you and get out of the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I mean, I think the big thing that it runs rampant in our industry, but in business in general, is like it becomes very much the person running it. There's a lot of ego there. They become very focused. They name the company after themselves a lot of times, which you've got a great name. Don't worry about it. But like, it becomes very centric to them.
Right.
And so it's like this right here. The LB behind us, and on the that's it's a symbol. That's we're working towards that, and it's like so it's not Doug Powell Electric, it's not Josh Electric, it's Lumen Brothers, and it's like there's a greater good there. And it's like, so what we do for the business, and the business takes care of us the same way we take care of each other. It does take, I think, for partnerships to work, you have to agree on the most fundamental levels. And it can't just be, hey, you're an electrician, I'm an electrician, let's do it. It's a special challenge. For sure.
It's a special challenge. Yep.
So
it's hard.
Yeah,
Just like
you
marriage.
definitely care for each other's well-being. It's one of those things where, like you said, like it's not, we work for Lumen Brothers. Like this is, bigger than me and you. This is a company that we're trying to build together to make our lives better in the end.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
you just each other's good at, like Josh might be better on the tools, and Doug might be better, talking and meeting with people and stuff like that. So
Doug is the only reason we have business.
That's not true.
Well, look, I brought in some context. I keep and I do a lot of the work, but in terms of marketing, in terms of technology, in terms of branding, in terms of outreach, like you need all that, right? Because here you're working by yourself. You're in a year and a half, you said. It's like you're having to wear all those hats. And
you got to do all of it.
You're going to be better at some of them than others, but that's where it does help to have someone who does the other half. And it's like, you probably know, you said your sister does the admin. I mean, even at a part-time role, what that offers your business is massive. If you had to do that yourself, as well as run the company, do the paperwork, monitor the guys, pull in the work, it's like you'd lose your mind.
Yeah.
And so having these people, having a partner is really no different than having somebody else like an admin or, who comes into the business and helps. Just in this case, we're to split 50-50.
Yeah, right. And our skill sets are pretty different. Like as far as like we're both master electricians, but the way we came into the trade, how long we've been in the trade, and our skills outside of it that contribute to the overall goal we're real different. And that helps too. I think if we were both master electricians that had the same time in, had a similar skill set, we'd probably be just stepping on each other's toes.
We probably wouldn't have made it this far.
But since my background is communication, digital media, marketing, all that stuff, it enhances, it helps, and I always just look to Josh for everything electrical too. I mean, even being a master electrician 8 years in, I'm so happy that I have a partner that's 17, almost 18 years in, that I can call when I'm like, okay, what would you do? And he calls me. So we have that, it's good. It can be good.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, it was it's kind of perfect for you guys. You guys are a lot different from each other. Because whenever two people are the same, a lot of ego gets involved, as far as like,
I think so.
Just competing and
yeah.
So it's
also
no one teaches you how to run. Like everybody knows how to do the work, but it's like the part that everyone forgets is, that's just half the battle. When you've got to figure out how to actually run a company and run it well and take care of the things that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw, Justin, you had a post this week, or just last week, where, as it happens with all of us, that are out here doing this thing, everything comes to a head. It seems like projects are all overlap when you least expect it, and you don't want them to. You find yourself in these situations where you're working your ass off, and you're like, man, I don't even. I didn't even get to really see my kid this week. Like, I didn't get much time with my kid this week. I think we all feel that. We all connect with that. As people who go out and work for a living, and the money that we make is determined on the work that we do. We all feel that distance from our families and that pressure to, fulfill the thing that we've started. What are some things that you did this last week that helped you get through that experience and come out the other side feeling renewed?
I mean, that was the first time that I had like felt it. To we're generally sad to not be there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of support from my family and social media, which is not something that I've part of, like, as far as the social media part of my family life, but just the support from everybody kind of reaching out to me and just checking in with me and just telling me, everybody goes through these times in their lives, and the light at the end of the tunnel is closer than you. I really it just took a couple of days. I worked late last night, that night, and went back probably 4 hours of sleep, to kind of dragged into the next day. But after those 2 days, I was back at it and feeling pretty good. But yeah, it was just a temporary feeling that just struggling with the fact that I really had nothing to do with me. And had and where she was at.
Mm-hmm.
She's stay-at-home mom, so hate that it's her responsibility all the time, and I always give her the freedom to go and do. She's into photography and interior design, so she's got her little hobbies.
Cool.
I didn't want her to feel like situation, because she's been everything with me throughout this entire process, and it's finally, she's starting to see like the results. We're building a house within a year. Piece of property. Awesome. We bought, and the results of all my hard work are starting to come through, and that's where I kind of honor her with that, is like, because I could our 1,000 square foot farmhouse.
Most men could.
I could go a long time in that thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's really, I just wanted her to know that, I was thinking about her, and, all of this is for a reason. So, but the bigger side of it is that which I always told her, like, I've got to look out for the company as well. And make sure the guys are taken care of. And then I'm also inside. It's, I could definitely, like, pay myself more, but I'm looking at like the long term and not so much the short term of things. I've got no intentions of ever selling it. I just kind of want to build something that's just, and just build a culture, and bring, like, this industry is kind of beaten up on for the fact that, like, you can't be an electrician and have a career and a lifestyle that you want to without going out and getting your license and being a master and like that. So I'm trying to kill that stigmatism a little bit, and just teach these guys that, as long as you do right by me and continue to work hard, like, I'm going to do right by you. I pay them well. I just got all of them health insurance fully covered.
Nice.
Wow.
and then I'll look into other avenues as far as like retirement and stuff like that. What I want to do, but I've got to make it that way for this thing to last long term, because for me to lose and have to bring in somebody else I don't know and hope that one's going to last and work out, it's a lot of lost time and investment. So I've got to sustain the guys that I'm teaching and just keeping them happy. But I also don't put up with mediocrity. Like, if I'm going to pay you well and offer you all these benefits, we need to be the best at what we do. And
sure,
push yourself. I'm going to push myself, but you need to meet me. Push yourself to continue to grow, because if they don't progress, then they can't progress as far as like, in this industry and in their careers and lives. I make it a point to take care of the ones that really push themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, with the point of your your family too, it's like you're touching on a real important thing there, which is that we all, any one of us, not just those of us that own companies, but those of us in the trades, whether you work union and you work overnights or you're on call for a company, like, it's tricky. The lifestyle of a tradesperson is a challenging thing to partner with in the pairing of a marriage and having kids. It's like everybody's got to strike that balance. And I liked your post last week, not because I wanted to see you suffering, obviously not. I want to see you succeeding. But I like that you put it out there because I like that you put it out there because we all go through that. That's just real. Like, we all as and I don't, I always say I don't know about the women's side, but from a man's perspective, a father, a husband, I always feel that. I'm always like worried. Josh, I know too. We're so cognizant of our families, how our business impacts our family, and there's this variance where the more you make or the harder you work, like, kind of the more dedicated you have to be to the thing that you're creating. If, like, the more fuel you feed the fire, the bigger the fire gets, the more you have to tend to it to keep it there. So it's like there are these balancing acts that take place. And if you were to ask Sean D from Unity Electric, he would say there's no such thing as balance. You what's he say? You allocate, you execute, or what? He's got great topics on it. But I think balance is hard, especially with kids.
I think
family.
What I've been pushing for years is just for people to constantly check in with themselves and their life and what they want. So it's like, if you want the long hours and the benefits that come from it, fine. Yeah. But if the fact is, the beauty of America, and yes, I'm going to get on the American.
Come on, hey.
But look, the beauty of America is you can start your own company, go to how you want to. But you don't even have to do that, like you're saying. You don't have to go get a master's and start your own company. Mm-hmm. You can work for somebody else and get what you want. Yeah. The beauty of this country is that if you're working for, company A and you don't like the hours they're giving you, either it's too little or too much, you can go to another company. Like, especially with this skill set. You learn this skill set as a young person. You can go to any state in this country. You can go to other countries and have a job. Yeah. And every company is going to have its similarities, but they're all as vastly different as you can imagine. So it's like, I've worked for 4 different companies in my career before this, and they were all different. They all had benefits and drawbacks. But the thing is, if you're not happy with where you're at, it's one thing to be like, this is a temporary place, like you're saying. It's like you have a goal in mind. You're in a spot temporarily until you get over the hurdle. But ultimately, if you're in a company that is clearly just that's how it is and you don't like it, you owe it to yourself and that company to find something better for both of you, because nobody wants that employee who's stuck there with a bad attitude. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, your attitude could probably be improved if you just enjoyed what you did a little more. Right. So it's like, if you're working at a company that's making you work 70 hours a week, go find something else, unless you like that. Yeah. But it's like, with you especially, I mean, you run your own company, so it's like, it is expected that we have to put in all these hours when you run a company, but also look around at some of the things you're doing. What we found in the last 3 years is that, like, we're dialing in what we want this company to be, as
Mhm.
opposed to just doing what everyone says a company has to be.
Right.
Right. So everyone says, well, you got to work 70 hours a week, and, and you're, maybe you don't get paid ever. And,
Yeah.
it's like, this is
Gotta have.
hard.
Yeah.
And,
Gotta have 10 trucks on the road. Gotta have.
it's
Gotta.
like, well, maybe if that's what
maybe.
you
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
but it's like, that's for us, that's not right. And the fact is, we want to be able to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Doug and I have wild plans that don't even relate to electricity. So it's like, but that's what's beautiful about what we're
Yeah.
doing is like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, do you know how long I
Yeah.
spent trying to figure out how to make this little banner behind us? But I love that. And like, we love what we're doing. And it's not all just electrical, but it's like, that's the thing. It's like, in this country, you have choice.
Yeah, man.
You have choice. And that's what people, I feel like people forget that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not always obvious,
Yeah.
and it's not always pleasant, but ultimately I think Jordan Peterson was saying it, like, you owe it to yourself and the universe to set yourself up the way you need your life to function.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit of soapbox there. I'm on a rant.
I like that. That was a good soapbox.
That was awesome. Yeah. No, it honestly, I mean, what it comes down to is choosing to be disciplined in your life and choose your day in life to go. Because I don't necessarily have to work as hard as I do and work as late as I do. I have the option to, possibly make not as much money, lose some work, but if I want to go work, I can certainly fit that in my day with the schedule I have. It's just a matter of discipline whether or not I'm willing to do that. And I choose not to most of the time. But it's really...
Me too, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But really for me, it's finding and work, because I can and it not bother me, because I love what I do. But I also have to think about the repercussions of my family and how it affects them. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of control as far as like how their lifestyle goes, and how they choose to spend it is up to them. But I tell them 7 to 5. I'm not asking you to work any later than that.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless it's optional, their weekends are optional. So
okay,
this is a job and a career, but there's
a
lot of that they have to tend to, and to make them continue to grow as a person. It's in my
man.
It's better for me. Not
of course.
job.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'll make sure that it's
There's a lot to be said.
It's a good work
yeah.
environment.
Yeah, there's so much to be said about fulfillment. I think that life's fulfillment, man. It's like
that's how you stop your wire from getting stolen off your trucks, man.
Yeah.
It's like disgruntled employees, unfortunately, they don't always just leave. Like I was saying earlier, like they should. That would be best for everybody, but they don't. They stay and they complain about you behind your back, and then they just do a terrible job. And it's like, so taking care of your employees, like it's one of those things that just breeds a better company all the way around, for the customers, for the owner, for the employees themselves. It's like, I don't know.
Where do you see Royal Electrical in the few years to come? Like, what's your ultimate game plan?
I mean, I hope to continue. I really don't have a plan as far as how big this thing gets. It really has everything to do with the people I surround myself with. And right now, it's a difficult time to be looking and trying to find people, especially a small business, because I'm really not looking for the people that are looking for jobs, for the people that have jobs, and
makes sense.
You're trying to pull them away from a situation that is already good for them. They're comfortable. So you have to offer them better than what they're already getting somewhere else. But if you're able to do that, it's worthwhile. Like I'm not in it to make a bunch of money. I'm really looking to just sustain something and just build a great group of people, and the more people, because people is going to be the most success story. And like I said, like a lot of good people out there. So as far as how big my company gets is how many of those people can I gather up, and we'll see where it goes from there. But my 5-year definitely not be pulling so much weight as a business owner. I plan to start delegating that a lot. Make it to work, because it's tough to. Like, you can find people to do the work, but finding somebody to do the work and then also training, really take on what you're already doing. Difficult task. So what I've been doing is together some systems that make things a little bit easier. So like I have my admin, and she takes care of my emails, workman's comp, my permits. She's on my system, updating catalogs and stuff like that. And then I've also got a bookkeeping service that takes care of the back end. And then I have management system is Simpra. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but a lot of the academy guys, they talk about it, and it's probably one of the better, at least so I don't have nothing to compare from. I've been working off that, so it's definitely a lot better than that. But it's definitely it's been a learning curve. I'm in the beginning stages of learning it. They definitely make it hard to get in the door to even get this. Like, it's like pretty substantial. Like, I had to go through like multiple meetings to actually get the opportunity to sit down and see fit for it. And they even told me there was like, you're kind of a small. And so I eventually got in the door with it. It's pretty affordable, actually. I think it's only $200 a month.
Okay.
And so the training alone is like $4,000, but they were offering a free training for like it might be still going on. I don't know. So that was a big reason why, like, I took advantage of that. But now, like, I ended up missing some of the courses just because I was so busy, and I'm kind of do it myself, kind of learn as I go. So like this whole weekend was like me wanting to like throw my laptop across the pavement. I'm trying to learn the system. But I'm getting it dialed in. It's really like I've come along Saturday when I broke into it. So it's, I'll keep you updated on how it is, but it's, I definitely see.
Yeah, be curious to know.
There's a lot of growth. Yeah. So it really place, like having somebody, like being able to learning it and then train it to somebody else, and for them to take that and run with it. Where like almost like keep delegating something until everything's completely like off my plate. But like I'm never not, like I'm always going to be involved just because I love this work and my business, to where I can be gone at weeks at a time and everything is not on fire. So that's where I'm trying to get. So
that's a good goal.
It is a good goal.
Yeah.
How about y'all's backstory?
Oh man, our backstory.
in terms of business or personally, everyone. I feel like Doug
Well, I
talked
mean, like,
about
I'd
his
like
a
to-
lot. We did an interview.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to know how you guys got to meet and how y'all started. Because I haven't got far to get to that portion of it. I'm sure y'all talk about it.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it comes up. It comes up. Yeah, I mean, the short story is I started doing electrical right out of high school at 18. Doug is 8 years my senior, but he's got a way more interesting past than I do. He was a comedian, he was a farmer, and then at one point, I guess somebody put a bug in his ear about doing electrical work, and he gave me a phone call and asked if I thought it was a good idea. We had dinner together to talk about it, and at that time, none of my friends were in the trades. They're all musicians and artists. So I just wanted somebody to commiserate with. So I said, "It's an awesome idea."
Yeah,
Join
you
the
should
trade.
do it. Yeah.
And I just, at the time, I knew Doug. I just didn't know him well enough to know that he's insanely dedicated. OCD levels of dedicated. And so
Clearly.
You guys can tell. No, there's no surprise. No surprise.
From that dinner, he essentially left and picked up a trade set in like 4 years. It took me like 12 years to get. And so he called me back up and he's like, "Okay, I'm an electrician. Now what?"
Now
it's like,
I've got my journeyman. Do you want to start a company? You want to start a company or what?
Pretty much. So speaking, you mentioned side work earlier. I've had a bad relationship with side work my whole career. I've taken on a bunch of side work. It just never ever was profitable for me because I wasn't ever allowed to use a company vehicle. They all had trackers on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And I respected that, So I'm loading up my little Jeep Cherokee with as much stuff as I think I might need for that job, and I never have what I need.
Ever.
And so that's why, when you asked me earlier before we started recording about a work vehicle, I said I wanted a one-ton vehicle. Well, that's because I want everything I might possibly need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to run out. And we do sometimes, but I don't want to have to.
I hate
if
it.
I can just keep stuff with me.
I hate
running
out.
Yeah, I want to be a mobile shop, basically, because that's how we operate. And so the side work just never panned out. Never.
And then it's your weekends. There go your
it's
weekends.
Your weekends, and you're not making money, and you basically don't have the infrastructure you need to actually do the work.
Or the insurance. That was always scary to me.
The legal side of it. Yeah. So, but I was on a side job, and I'm hating life, and Doug calls me. He's like, "Hey, you ever want to start a business?" And I was like, "Man, right now more than you could know." And so he's like, "Well, let's meet up and have a beer." And so we met up and we talked about it. And the chemistry, we talked about what we valued the most and how we would do things, and it all kind of lined up. And we said, all right, well, let's not make any rash decisions. We put it on the back burner for a little bit, and then we circled back in maybe like a year.
Maybe like 6 months, 7
months,
months, something like that. Yeah.
And we were still right where we were before, maybe even a little more amped up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
My company was going, where I was working was kind of going in a direction I did not like, and I was like, I think this is it, man. This is the time.
Yeah.
And so that was that. The hardest part, finding a name.
The name was hard.
Finding a name. Yep.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. We're, there's friends I talk about that are all artists and musicians. We're surrounded by, especially Frederick, Maryland, where we're at, man. It's just nothing but talent.
Art hub.
And so we had a friend do our logo. It was like we told her what we were looking for, and the first batch, she just
knocked it out of the park.
Nailed it, dude. In fact, we picked the one we liked, the two that we liked the most, and there were like 4 or 5 left over that were also all stellar.
Yeah, right.
And so we're actually kind of slowly release those as some t-shirt options. Yeah, but so
the name is hard.
The name's the hardest part, man, because so like when you're a one-man show, you can name it after yourself, and that makes sense. But like, at the time, I was the master. He hadn't gotten his master's yet, but we're not going to name it after me.
Josh with Doug Electric. Josh plus Doug.
Josh and Doug's working for Electric. But it's like, because especially, it's like, I even had the boss I was leaving, the one who kept trying to convince me I shouldn't be partners. He's like, well, you definitely, whatever you do, I don't know if you're going 50-50, but that would be a terrible idea. Don't let Doug be 50-50. It's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you're the one with the masters. It's like, that is a piece of paper, man. You cannot base your income on a piece of paper because, for one thing, Doug Powell will have his master's. I know the determination of this man. He will have his master's. And on top of that, look, when you're starting a business with somebody,
I saw that. I was proud.
You are going to fail 50-50.
Yeah.
If it fails, he's got a wife and a daughter. I've got a wife and daughter. We plummet face first equally.
Together. Yeah.
So why wouldn't we succeed at the same level?
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's like, no, 50-50 or I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And
here we are.
Here we are. We've made a lot of stickers and a lot of shirts.
We made a podcast. Yeah. We've done a bunch of work too.
We also do electrical work occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the short backstory.
It was a podcast.
I started the podcast just kind of like I can't help myself. Like I just gotta I gotta do something. Like I just can't help it. I like have to. My purpose in the whole world is
Lumen Brothers. Try and stop me.
Yeah, I like, you know, I think it took me a long time as a young man to figure out what my role in the world was, and I think that doing, you know, being a stand-up and kind of pursuing my dreams helped me see like what I'm capable of and also like what I'm good at and how that is effective and how what I'm good at doing is helpful, even if it just means making people laugh. I think that's beneficial, and so like I just have really over the years owned that, and yeah, I think the podcast just made perfect sense. It's like great opportunity to talk to people as we build this thing and learn from you guys like you who've done it and can talk to us about like the paths you've taken, the systems you're using and things like that. It just podcast makes sense for if you're a trade company nowadays.
Doug started the podcast. Doug started the whole modern electrician brand concept all on his own, even before we started the company. And then he likes to share with people and he likes to bring people in. I'm
a team guy.
He gathers people.
I'm a gatherer. Yeah.
So he was like, I feel like modern electrician could benefit the business.
Yep.
And I was like, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But how do I help? Where do I fit in? And so I think, the first 2-3 seasons was all just Doug talking to people, and it was awesome. And then he's like, "You want to sit down with me?" And I was like,
"Yeah, man,
let's do it."
And Josh adds, just by his nature, adds that element of, because I kind of come to the trades from an outside perspective. Josh is just like you guys, like
soapbox.
Josh has been Josh has been in the
and
trades.
Another thing,
he's been in the trades for a really long time, and he relates to. I think he relates to the majority of you guys who have been in the trades for a really long time. And you're thinking about your tools and you're thinking about your setup and you're thinking about the way your van's designed and you're thinking about the process of how you do the work that you like. He's just constantly obsessed with that. And that it brings that to the table. It makes my job and life easier. And I think enhances the show. So yeah, man, the podcast just made sense, I think, and continues to because it's fun to do.
Yeah, it is fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, which is the nature of what we do at Lumen Brothers.
Yeah, I totally love it. You definitely have the personality for it, Doug. And Josh definitely brings like a different element to it. So it's like a business, you know, the podcast kind of fits perfectly in the Dell's two different kind of demeanors and styles.
I think people,
so I really get a lot from
people see it. Yep. Good. I think people see me and they say, he's a master electrician. And then they see Josh and they go, okay, all right. There's another one there. There's another master electrician. I feel like he's gonna miss I feel like he's gonna miss some stuff. But
they're letting that guy drive.
Yeah, I'm big picture. For sure.
We've joked about. I don't know if you know who Penn and Teller are, the magician group. That is very much our dynamic.
Yeah.
Doug is a showman, and he's good at talking. He's good in front of the camera, and people like him.
Mm-hmm. And Josh is
I like being quiet and occasionally offering something.
But he's the one who does the real quality. That when people see it on the back end, they're like, "Oh, that's really nice." I'm like, "Yeah, we're good."
But
Doug's here for the entertainment.
Kinda.
Together we're a mullet.
Together we're a mullet. That's right.
Party in the back.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you guys done. I've definitely thought about like doing the same thing, but like the thing is like I don't have that charisma to actually gather enough people to to watch it. You know what I mean? Mine would probably be more on the side of Josh's informational. So like Doug brings in the crowd, and Josh kind of makes it a show. You know what I mean?
There you go. I love it.
It's really
I'll tell you.
unique.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
I'll tell you one thing. No matter what you do, if you're not doing it for the fact that you like to do it,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong place. So
Yeah.
it's like Doug happens to bring people, but if he didn't, we'd still probably be talking to you guys.
Yeah.
You know, because it's
It's
fun. It's fun
and
talking.
It's great to have a platform to
Yeah.
reach out and have these conversations with people, because I think, you know, just like with you, Justin, listening to the show and being able to commiserate and hear a couple of guys fumbling through the early stages of owning a trade company, and you can relate and you can commiserate and you can hear what we're saying and say, yeah, man, I get that. Or maybe we have a conversation with somebody that, you know, shines some light on something you were looking to do. It's just a great opportunity for us to
Yeah.
keep growing.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with the rest of your day?
Accountable too, like those.
Yeah.
I've got to gather. I've got the material, but I've actually got to go check up on my guys and see where they're at. They're on a trim out right now, so I'm gonna go help them get that thing up, and
Awesome.
then I think I've got to get a job after that, and then I'll be wrapping it up. And what about y'all?
Sweet, man.
Walking around that trim out, just picking up like 1,000 little tiny pieces of casings.
Yep. Little tiny casings everywhere.
It looks like you guys are.
Yeah, that's it
are
for
you
us
guys on
today,
the
man.
job right now?
No, we're in my attic. I am framing out my attic slowly. So it is just a non-framed place at the moment. But it's a great little spot. This is eventually going to be one of our studio spaces to sit and record these things. So nice little
Yeah,
place
Joe Rogan
to hang out for now.
now with a brick wall.
That's what we're going for. Yeah.
The
That's
old
what we're
rip
going
off.
for. That's right. That's right. The old rip off.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
we're done for the day. I wrapped up about 1:00 and dashed up the road.
Cool.
I was kind of far from home today. Don't do that very often.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I had a service call this morning, and that was it.
yeah,
Yep.
keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So it's a nice thing about making the schedule.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Make
Well,
it a
Justin,
nice,
we really
easy-
appreciate your time, man. Yes, sir. We appreciate
thanks for having
you
me.
just dedicating. We know, yeah, man. We know how hard it is to take some time and you know, take a break from what you're doing and sit down and share your knowledge and your wisdom with us. So we really appreciate it, man. Where can people find you online?
Mainly Instagram, Royal Electrical Contractors.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook too, but Instagram is where you'll find me.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Justin. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for having me on.